Hi witches! So today we are going to be talking all about pendulums. We're just to jump right in. Just like tarot cards, pendulums are divinatory tools that are used by modern witches to define answers to questions they have, to work with deities, or just to make decisions in their lives, stuff like that. So that's why we're talking about it in October, specifically that deity work kind of tie. Anyways, pendulums are very accessible. If you have a necklace with a pendant on it, congrats, you have a pendulum. Pendulum is literally like a string or a piece of chain or whatever you might have with something like heavy at the bottom on one side. So like this is my pendulum. It's a little amethyst guy. And like I said, it could be a pendant like this, or it can be kind of the more traditional one that you would find in a metaphysical store like this. Okay, so what is a pendulum exactly, right? So from the first time it was discovered, it was actually kind of like discovered, I guess, in 1602 by Galileo Galilei, which is very interesting. And it was really more to do with the keeping of time and the movement of the earth. So you have a pendulum, it swings back and forth. We've all, I think, heard of the story from Edgar Allan Poe, The Pit and the Pendulum. You might have had to read that in high school and stuff. I don't think we did, but I just read it for fun because I was kind of a spooky kid. But basically, they are used in scientific instruments such as like accelerometers and seismometers. So that's like stuff that regularly checks earthquakes and stuff like that. Equipment that helps detect things. And the word pendulum comes from the Latin word pendulus, which means hanging. So as you can see, it hangs and it does things. Yes, pendulums. So in a metaphysical sense, how do pendulums work exactly? Well, they are a divinatory tool, so we do use them for divination, but unlike tarot cards, pendulums kind of give you more like yes or no answers versus having to interpret them. It's generally going to give you a yes, a no, or a try again, and it kind of reminds me of like a magic 8-ball, which I think like in the realm of chaos magic could totally be used for divinatory purposes, and I kind of blame the magic 8-ball for making me the witch I am today, because I loved those things when I was a kid. But basically the first thing you should do after, of course, cleansing and consecrating your brand new pendulum is decide what direction is going to be yes or no. So generally speaking, vertical, like away from you, towards and away, is a yes for me, and because it's like yes. And then side to side is a no, right? So that's what makes sense for me. If that doesn't work for you, totally fine. Whatever you define works perfectly the way it is. If the pendulum swings in a circular motion for me, if it's just kind of doing like this thing and it's never going to be that violent, but if it's just doing that, I'm going to be like, that's usually a maybe, or I need to rephrase my question because I'm missing something. So, I need to just come back to it later because I'm not ready for that. So, I actually use this method a lot, like in the beginnings of my practice, because I wasn't allowed to have tarot cards. I had my little necklace. I had this little, I don't know if I have it on my altar. I don't think I do. Like this really cool pendant that I used and I still have, and I used it to speak with like the spirits that lived in my parents' house. By lived in my parents' house, I'm not saying that it was necessarily haunted per se, like they weren't knocking things off the walls or doing anything like that, but we did have like a lady who would come visit sometimes, which was very nice. But yeah, this lady's name was Rosemary, and she was really nice, and when I first started practicing witchcraft, she would help me practice with my pendulum, and it was like really neat. And it's like such a good like nostalgic memory for me that I have from the beginning of my craft, which is super nice. So pendulum readings are very simple. Again, you can use a pendant, or you can go to a metaphysical store and like treat yourself. This is an amethyst one, but I do see people using like quartz and rose quartz a lot, like online. And pendulum readings are a really great way to dive into divinatory methods without having to like go out and buy tarot cards. So if you're like in the broom closet, you can just use your pendant, or you can go out and get a pendulum if you want. It's easier to conceal than a deck of tarot cards. And they're very good for like confirming things. So I know that like deity confirmation is a really big thing that's happening right now on the internet. People are talking about it a lot. So if you are interested in more of a concrete yes or no versus an interpretation through tarot cards, pendulum readings are also super duper great. I will be offering pendulum readings to my store as an offering, so if you guys would like a pendulum reading from me, that drops October 31st, so stay tuned for that. I'll be talking about that a lot more in upcoming videos, and you should definitely check it out. I have linked the Instagram down below. So anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow for another kind of fun fashion video, and yeah, I'll see you guys then.